What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are up today, my goodness. Now, yesterday we were talking about some mixed signals in the Bitcoin chart, some things that were looking a little bit concerning, but my question is, did the Simpsons single-handedly just pump the price of Bitcoin? Well, you let me know what you think about that. But that being said, I do have some good things to go over today in the video. Number one, I want to talk about the fact that we have Bitcoin whales showing that they are accumulating Bitcoin in mass like crazy. However, we do have some studies that show that the retail hodlers may be giving the whales a run for their money. We're going to get into that in just a bit. I also want to talk about the fact that the Bitcoin halving is coming up. We are going to have a little bit of an effect on the supply, on the inflation, but there might be sort of a negative effect on the miners. I do want to talk about that. And finally, I want to end on one, you might call it a conspiracy, but one prominent crypto analyst who we've actually had on the channel before thinks that maybe this recent pump that we've seen in 2020 could be artificial, and it might be led by a bunch of evil, manipulating whales, aka criminals. We're gonna get into that in just a bit. I know, if all that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Also, today's video is gonna be super rapid fire, and yeah, if you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And today is the last day for the Ledger Nano S. If you haven't had an opportunity and you're interested, drop a comment below. You are eligible, and we'll pick a winner tomorrow. Now, let's dive in. Let's give this a quick refresh live. Bitcoin dominance, 62.6%. Bitcoin is up 2.44 on the day. We do have some altcoins today doing quite well. Aeon, Theta, Komodo, Blockstack, Status, Matic, Lisk, Nem, and Verge. Now, we finally got back above the 21 exponential on the daily. This was very concerning yesterday. You could see we dipped below it February 19th. We stayed below it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally we got above it. Now, is it time for celebration? Are we out of the waters just yet? Well, we do have to be realistic about this, okay? One good thing is we are back inside the ascending wedge, the ascending channel. We do need a daily close, though. We have not closed the candle above it. Keep in mind, we could easily wick up just like we did on the 20th and the 21st and fall back below, okay? So we do need to wait until the end of the day to see what happens with this candle. What I would like to see is for us to close above and then have a little bit of a pullback and then utilize the previous resistance as support, right? The one thing you do want to know is that we've had difficulty breaking above this VPVR where it starts to jut back out at around the $10,000 level. Now, you might say, well, maybe that's just a psychological level. Could be, but you could see right here, there's massive accumulation around the 10.3K level. So I think if we can get above the 10.3K level, definitely get above this wick right here from the China pump and this wick right here that we just had recently on February 13th, and we could pump above that, well, then that would be extremely bullish for Bitcoin, and then we could totally just change our tune and go straight to the moon. However, we do know that $9,740 is where the CME closed. So this means that if Bitcoin is higher than this, there is going to be a gap on the chart. Now, we do know that gaps tend to get filled. Obviously, the closer to the gap, the more likely it is. So if we're trading around $9,900 and we have a gap around 9.7, we're probably going to close it, right? Now, maybe that's what we're trying to do right now. Maybe that's why we've pumped up to that level. Could be that, as soon as CME opens, we pump and then fill and then start going back down again, right? I mean, you can look at it right now and, just recently to point this out, Bitcoin has put in, a little bit of lower highs right here and lower lows. So we are starting to trend downwards, right? Could be a potential flag. That is one possibility looking at it. However, I do want to just point out the most important thing is the monthly chart zooming out. Like I said, short term, choppy, long term, looking bullish as long as we can close above $9,600. We have, what is today's date? Today is, so we have, 6 more days until the end of the month. Anything could happen in a week, but as long as we stay above these levels, that is good for me moving forward. You can see right here, we did have that resistance, so we do want to get back above the $10,300 level. If not, well, then check out yesterday's video and you'll see why there are some concerns. Also, if you guys didn't check out yesterday's video, it was a great interview with the Crypto Lark. We talked about Ethereum, DeFi, and his possible prediction of a $1 trillion market cap for Ethereum. So if you're interested in that kind of things, definitely check out yesterday's video. I will drop it above for you guys. Now, Moving on, having a look, I do want to talk about back in 2011, only a few individuals held most Bitcoins. More specifically, 33% of Bitcoin supply was held in addresses that contain 1/1000th of all BTC. Good news is, as Bitcoin's popularity has increased and more people have gotten involved, more people have bought Bitcoin, it's gradually been distributed to millions of different addresses. In fact, there's almost 30 million Bitcoin addresses today, and the good news is that now only about 11% of Bitcoin's total supply is concentrated in whales addresses. Now, even though we made a video last week talking about how whales are accumulating massively, right? They're buying all these dips. We are seeing the distribution more equal, which is good, which is why you shouldn't be selling your Bitcoin to these guys. You don't know who these guys are, right? You don't want to give them back more power. Not financial advice, do whatever you want, but that is good news moving forward. One person who's not happy about that, however, is Peter Schiff. He says CNBC is ignoring the rise in the price of gold and pumping Bitcoin instead. CNBC Fast Money in particular continuously allows biased guests to tout Bitcoin. However, unlike when they had me on to discuss gold, these ridiculous, completely self-serving comments go unchallenged. And then he also said a CNBC anchor responded to Citi's call that gold will hit 2K in the next 12 to 24 months by dismiss the potential as being, I think he meant by dismissing the potential as being too low a return to matter. That's a 25% gain in less than 2 years. 25% gain in less than 2 years. In contrast, a 2-year treasury yields 1.4% and the S&P yields 1.7%. And Crypto Bobby says 25% gain in 2 years. In these streets, we call that what Tezos did yesterday. And honestly, I think cryptocurrency is really spoiling modern investors, millennials. I mean, you're seeing gains 5, 10, 20%. We've seen coins pump 100% in a day. Bitcoin is up 40% this year. Talking about a 25% gain over the course of 2 years. Not saying that's not good. That's an excellent store of value. But let's be honest, we have been a little bit pampered, a little bit spoiled when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is the Bitcoin halving. You might be sick of hearing about this, but there are some sort of negative effects of it as well. Now, the one positive is the inflation rate, right? You can see a recent report by Kraken showed previous halvings, and they actually had some predictions, by the way. They said that in the two halvings, they demonstrated a 2-year uptrend in Bitcoin's price beginning 12 to 18 months prior. We've already seen that happening, followed by an 80% peak to trough downtrend. Yikes. So if you guys are worried about that, well, we have a long way till we get to the top, in my opinion. But the report also estimated, now here's the part, that global mining was going to lose about $3.1 billion in annual revenue. Because keep in mind, they're doing the same amount of work, they're spending the same amount of electricity, but they're making less Bitcoin, right? This is going to be a little bit discouraging for some of the smaller miners. They're not going to be able to keep up with the demand, right? So provided Bitcoin's price continues to play around the $9,300 level, adding that the May halving would reduce annual supply inflation rate from 3.7 to 1.8%, this is going to definitely knock some players out of the game. Now, in one hand, you do have big miners that have these new ASICs, right? They're hoarding the Bitcoin because they're hoping for higher prices, but you're going to have some of the smaller guys maybe selling, right? And that selling could show some kind of downwards pressure. Now, I showed you, was it yesterday I showed or 2 days ago? I forget. We talked about the halving and how, there usually is a run up, but there's not an immediate blast. Well, like Carl from the Moon said, on the bright side, inflation is now 3.6%. It will be 1.8%. That's officially lower than the 2% inflation target adopted by most central banks. This is actually huge. The Bitcoin price could easily jump to 200,000 within 2 years. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize is when you're actually comparing Bitcoin to the inflation of the dollar, you're not just keeping the dollar static and people are like, oh, Bitcoin can never go to $1 million. Yes, it could. Considering the fact that the dollar is inflating by 2 to 3% annually, even if Bitcoin was hypothetically to just, do nothing, it should theoretically increase in price against the dollar's inflation. You understand what I'm kind of trying to say here? I understand that's not exactly how charts work, but I'm just giving you like the hypotheticals of that. Moving on, crypto analyst Jacob Canfield. We have had him on the channel. This is a little bit of the conspiracy. Might not be a conspiracy. Could actually have something to do with it. He thinks that criminals from China and Korea are behind the crypto Ponzi scheme driving the bullish price trends. Now, he's talking about the Plus token scam, right? We do know that this had a lot to do with why the price was most likely pumping last year, right? These guys, people were buying into the scam. They were hoarding Bitcoin, essentially creating a massive floor, like a massive hodl base, right? And then what ended up happening was these guys decided to essentially sell at the top, driving the price all the way down. And now Jacob thinks that they might be behind it again. He says they're currently sitting at around $600 million worth of capital cash, and it was done on what we believe Huobi and OKX. Now, I do hope that these two exchanges are tracking these guys and making sure that they don't allow these criminals to do what they do, but who knows? Anyway, the problem with the order books are closed, so you can't really view them or see anything. If they're using their capital to push the Ethereum market up, they can use 100 million, 200 million even, and push Ethereum back to 300, 500, 600, 900, even $1,000, and then they're going to get a much bigger bang for their buck, and then they might potentially just dump it again, which we hope doesn't happen. Let me know what you guys think about that. But obviously, crypto being explained by the Simpsons, this is huge. Does this have anything to do with the recent price pump? Could be. You never know, man. You never know. It is wild, wild west in crypto. But you can see right here, obviously, they have Jim Parsons from the Big Bang Theory. He plays Sheldon. It's almost like they did a spoof on the I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill thing, right? This is actually funny right here. Cryptocurrency is a system that does not rely on non-cryptocurrency central authority, but instead relies on a non-centralized distributed consensus of cryptocurrency ownership. Using the word cryptocurrency repeatedly when defining cryptocurrency makes it seem like we have a cryptocurrency novice's understanding of cryptocurrency. Well, that is a total pile of cryptocurrency. In this system, rules are defined for the creation of additional units of cryptocurrency. They can be generated by fiat like traditional currency, or just thrown around randomly, or all given to LeBron. But for the same reason, these crypto guys are really into computers, so we have big buildings full of energy-gobbling, air-conditioned computers solving useless math problems, but now we can't have straws. Also, we know who Satoshi is, but we're not telling. You got to wonder with the Simpsons, right? You ever hear about how the Simpsons have predicted the future? Maybe this is something to pay attention to. And I don't know if they know who Satoshi is. Dan Pena thinks that it's Putin. He thinks that it's Vladimir Putin. I don't know, pretty crazy, right? But yeah, guys, that being said, I think the real bullish sign of the day is Bitcoin, the dog plush toy. That being said, guys, I think that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for coming back. We will see. We will see what happens come Monday. We do know that Sunday night into Monday morning does tend to be very volatile for Bitcoin. Can we actually break back above 10K and get above that 10.3K level, or is this just a fake out pump? You let me know. Definitely going to be interesting the next upcoming week. Let me know if you saw that episode of The Simpsons, but and what you guys thought. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You are the reason that I do this every single day. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course,